We had 11 this morning in both services at Philadelphia Baptist, and then at their new plant or their new church, we had I think we had 7 or 8 saved tonight. So we had a great crowd tonight. I think it's just building for what's going to happen in the next 3 days. So I was really pleased with the day, with the crowds. The students, did drama and worship tonight, did a great job. So I'm looking forward to the next 3 days at Pineville High School in their gymnasium, each night at 6:30. I'll be sharing tomorrow night the most important question I've ever been asked. Oprah got it wrong. Tuesday's the heart, and Wednesday is my whole story. So when you see this, be praying for us. It's going to be a great week of harvest. I hope that you'll listen. I want to answer a question. I talked about my grandson, for you that don't know, passed away 3 years ago. In fact, over at Buckeye, they were dressed weird today. Any Buckeye students here? Yeah, they were. Yeah, they look a little more normal. Anybody from school here? You go to school here? Oh. Anybody go to that Tioga school? Anybody? Got a few? Yeah. I realize, and you're even actually kind of sitting together, so that's weird. Here's how it works. I talked today about my story. I'm going to ask if you would to do me a great favor. I have no idea why this young lady's just grabbing people and leaving. See, here's the deal. For you to be here and not to leave any different than you came, either I failed to communicate or you failed to listen. This is not a bad crowd for a Monday night. Tomorrow night I'm going to talk about the heart. And I'll ask you to do, if you would, bring somebody tomorrow night that really is searching, looking for answers. Very excited about walking. I'm going to give you a message. My grandson passed away 3 years ago. I'd have done anything to take his place. Hebrews 9:27 says this: it's appointed for once for man to die. Here's the fact. Everybody look at me. Everybody say, we're all going to die. I want you to listen. We're not, right now as I speak, I've got, in fact, over here, my books are over here, but I've got another book by a young lady by the name of Megan. Megan, over 4 years ago, went to Haiti, and she bought a mountain in Haiti. She's built a school that will hold 500 children. She's built a hospital, got married on that mountain. If you were to ask her if she was a missionary, she would tell you no. This is why. Because she lives in Haiti. And as we speak right now, there's a hurricane that's hitting Haiti. And there are going to be thousands of Haitians that are going to end up probably dead. And so I want you to listen. We're not promised tomorrow. All we got is right now. I would have given anything. My heart breaks that I spoke to 3,500 students out. Now I will tell you at Buckeye, I got to talk about Jesus because it was an FCA deal. But here's the deal. For you that say that you're Christians, tomorrow night, I want to see this place filled. I really believe Wednesday night that this place, you're going to hear the rest of my story. I share about my grandson because my grandson wasn't supposed to die before me. Death does not have an age or a time. It just happens. And I want you to hear me. Tonight I'm going to answer a question that I think is the most important question in life. And if you'll listen tonight, you could leave this place different than you came. If you're listening, say I am. So here's the fact, Hebrews 9:27. Everybody say all of us are going to die. Someday, some way, somehow. Second thing that it says after we die, we're going to be judged. Everybody say all of us are going to be judged. Now, Judge Judy, if you've ever watched her on TV, raise your hand. If she's our judge, we're all going to hell. I'm just telling you. I watched her today. The people are idiot to go on that show. I mean, I'm thinking, dude, if I want to be made fun of, I'm not going on that show. So here's the facts. We're all gonna be, and here's the third fact. We all have a destiny. I shared about my mom today at the schools, and I'm going to do it another 3 or 4 times tomorrow, a couple more times on Wednesday, and then I'll share my whole story. I go home Thursday. I actually leave on Saturday to start another deal in Texas. I'm already scheduled to be in about 9 or 10 public schools. I want you to hear me. You've got friends that are one heartbeat, that are one heart attack, that are one car wreck, maybe one bullet away from their eternity. So I want to ask the question, and here's the title of my message. Everybody say crickets. Crickets. Yeah, you'll understand why I gave it that title. Everybody put your hands like this. Everybody say crickets. Crickets. Say chirp, chirp. Chirp, chirp. So when I say crickets, I'll say crickets. You'll go chirp, chirp. Ready? Crickets? Chirp, chirp. Yeah, I wish you could see what I see. But here's the deal. Pretty much, I think every bug's going to be in hell. Ants, spiders, gnats, flies, mosquitoes. Let me go ahead and tell you, next time you kill a mosquito, just say go to hell. Now here's the... I'm kind of kidding. My granddaughter, when she was in the 4th grade, heard me preach this message, and so and it was at my church, so we all got in the car, she was in the back seat. We were driving down the road, getting ready to go to lunch, and all I heard in the back seat was go to hell. I pulled that car over, and she said she didn't miss a beat. It was a fly. I want you to hear me. I think being a Christian is a great thing. I love being able to preach like this in my shorts. I just think this is a great, and by the way, I have great looking legs, but that's another story. If you're listening, say yes. Yes. So the fact is we're all gonna be, we all have I want you to hear me. Nobody here knows when they're gonna die. Nobody. I will tell you, my grandson, probably an hour before he passed away, my son and his wife knew that their son was about done. So this is the question. Everybody say crickets. Have you ever been in a room and you could hear a cricket, but you couldn't see them? They're like the secret agent of bugs. I mean, it could be over there and it's chirping. And so I walk over there, and just when I get to where it is, what does it do? It stops, and it's now over here. Everybody say crickets? You got it. All righty. So anyway, I was preaching. And by the way, you may not know this, but guess what? Only one of the two, the female or the male, only one of them chirps and the other one says nothing. Let's take a survey. How many of you believe that it's the female cricket that chirps? Raise your hand. How many of y'all believe it's the male cricket? Can I go ahead and tell you? It's the male. Can you imagine this world where women say nothing? Oh, don't be clapping. Let me say this. Women speak about 30,000 words a day. Men speak about 10,000 words a day because we can't get a word in. But here's the deal. I was preaching. Everybody say crickets? And I was preaching, and all of a sudden a cricket showed up. I'm going to tell you, well, hang on. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to tell you what happened in that message. Here's if you don't have a Bible, all you got to do is listen. Everybody say 2 ways to live. Right way, wrong way. God's way, your way. If you're listening, say yes. Proverbs chapter 4, listen if you would to verse 18 and 19. It says this in verse 18. The way of the righteous is like the first gleam of dawn. It shines brighter and brighter until the full light of day. So everybody say the light way. Then he says, but the way of the wicked is like total darkness. Watch this. Listen close. They have no idea what they're stumbling over. Everybody say light. Everybody say dark. Now, if you would, turn your Bibles to Proverbs 16:25. We're going to quote this, and we're going to memorize this verse. Everybody say Proverbs 16:25. Everybody say there is a way that seems right. Say unto man and crickets but I added that part. But its end is death and destruction. Everybody say Proverbs 16:25. Now, if you're here and you claim to love Jesus, in other words, you walk in the light. In other words, you're walking His way. It's about Jesus in your life. Then you ought to have your Bible with you. Now, you that aren't into God, I'm glad that you're here. I don't really expect you to have this Bible. Everybody say, there is a way, that seems right, unto man and crickets, but its end is, say, death and destruction. Say Proverbs 16:25. Have you ever been going the wrong way on a one-way street? I was in New York City. I was driving in my car with Texas license plates. Bad deal. I'm driving down this street. I'm going one way. And all of a sudden, cars are coming at me. They're flipping me off. They're calling me names. I'm thinking, they really don't like Texas. And when I got to the end of the street, I found out I was going the wrong. Please listen close. I'm not going to take long tonight, but there's only two ways to live. You see, it's either God's way or it's your way. It's the world's way or it's the Word's way. Now, you guys heard my story. 9 stepfathers, 24 different schools, in jail at 15, suicidal at 10. So I know what it is to live in the dark way. I know what it is to walk in darkness. I know what it is when this young lady got up to share. There was a time that I did not want to live. There was a time that I had no family, no friends, no future, 24 different schools, and 49 years ago, I found the right way. Everybody say, two ways to live. Listen to this. There is a path before each person that, everybody say, seems right. That's the key. We've got to quit living with what seems right. Don't stop listening. You see, here's what the world says to you as students, even as adults. The world says that if you want to have safe sex, and I'm not saying anything funny, the world says just use contraceptives because it seems, but it's very wrong. There's a middle school somewhere in I think in Kansas, 7th and 8th grade school. As the students walked in 2 years ago, first day of school, as they walked in, there were people standing at all the doors, and they gave each student a condom because it seems. See, the world says if it seems right, it feels good, if it looks good, more than likely it's wrong. I want you to hear me. I believe that safe sex is abstinence. And I'm going to tell you right now, our world is messed up because we live with a seems right mentality. The world says if you want to get an abortion, it's your body. You ever heard anybody say that? It's my body. It's not your body. Oh, by the way, I got to stop because I know you're looking at my shirt. I know mainly the girls. They're not going to listen until they figure out my shirt. This is one of my shirts over here. Everybody say it real fast, and I'll tell you what it says. Ready? It's kind of like a Mad Gab game. Go ahead and say it. Very good. About 3 of y'all said it. Go ahead and say it again. Isn't that awesome that you know what it says? How many of y'all still don't know what it says? Alrighty, if you say it fast, here's what it says. Satan is a stinking liar. If you read John chapter 8, you can look at it later. It says that he's the father of all lies. I want you to listen close. Tomorrow night when I talk about the heart, I'm going to share one of the most incredible stories about the heart. Now you got to hear me. The world says if you want to get abortion, over 1.2 million babies are aborted every day, every year in America. Every day in America, about 3,700 babies will be aborted. Are you ready? Every hour in America, over 175 babies will be aborted because it seems, but its end is death and. By the way, when I was preaching, that cricket started coming my way. Thank you very much. And as it came my way, God spoke to me, not out loud because that would be weird. He calls me God, he calls me Ken, I call him God. We're tight, it's good. So as it came to me, it's right in front of me. And I said, there is a that seems unto man and I stepped on it. I felt the guts squirt. Now look at me close. You laugh. If that cricket would have looked around, it would have realized that it was headed the wrong direction. Please listen. In this school, I want you to hear me. There's a lot of students that are headed the wrong way. You see, he says the way that seems right. The world says if you want to get an abortion, the world says if you want to get a divorce, the world says, I want you to, there's a lot of things that seems right. Here's what religion says, and I'm going to get quickly to my message. Religion says if you want to get to heaven, all you got to do is join a church. It seems, but it's wrong. If I join the Girl Scouts, it ain't going to make me a girl. And according to my granddaughter, I'd be a very ugly girl. Look at me close. Here's what religion says. If you pray enough, if you go to church enough, if you're good enough, if you get baptized, dipped, christened, sprinkled, you might go to hell wet. All of that seems, please listen to me. None of that, if you got christened as a Catholic, that's not a bad thing. It's not a biblical thing. If you got sprinkled in a Methodist church, it's not a bad thing. It's not a biblical thing. If you got baptized in a Baptist church but you've never been saved, can I go ahead and tell you, that's not biblical either. You see, there's a lot of things that religion says that seems, but its end is death and destruction. I'm not being ugly. It means I'm getting ready to be. I was at Claire's. Anybody know what Claire's is? My granddaughter was there. Guys should never be in there. But I was in there because I was going to buy her something. So I'm just standing there minding my own business. I'll never forget it. And I remember looking over, and it had a little poster, and here's what it said in Claire's. Pierce ears while you wait. So I raised my hand. I had a question. My granddaughter said, what do you? I said, I got to ask a question. Teenage girl came over, and I said to her, I said, I don't understand your sign. Pierce ears while you wait. So if we don't want to wait, I mean, do we leave an ear? Do you chase us until you catch us? My granddaughter pulled my pants. She says, we're leaving right now. I was at a Slotsky's. Anybody know what a Slotsky's is? It's a Subway on steroids. I will never forget this as long as I live. Are you ready? There's a way that seems. See, I don't think there's anything wrong with piercing your ears. I don't want to. I don't think there's anything wrong. Here's the bottom line. If you got about 30 ears in your earring, you got some issues. So I'm now at Slotsky's with my wife. Got my arm around the wife. There's a line of people. I will never get this as long as I live. And the guy behind the counter freaked me out. I don't get freaked out much. But as I looked at this dude that was going to take my order, he had an earring here and an earring here. He had an earring here, 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 and here. My wife looked at me, she said, whatever you do, don't ask. The guy behind me said, you gotta ask, dude. So the guy behind the counter knew I was struggling. He said, sir, are you okay? I said, I'm okay. But I said, I need to say something to you. Don't take this wrong. Don't you hate it when people say that to you? Don't take this wrong, because we're going to take it wrong. I said, sir, don't take this wrong. He said, I'm not being ugly. I said, sir, you missed your ear. He didn't have one. I said, dude, I don't know if you were on drugs or if you were hot. By the way, we didn't order a sandwich because we were going to get a special sauce on our sandwich. If you're listening, say yes. So I want you to hear me. It's not your body to do whatever. If you read, I have a shirt over there. It says that your mama was pro-life. I love that shirt. If you read Psalms 139, it says that we are fearfully and wonderfully made. I want you to hear me. Even as this young lady spoke a minute ago, it's a tough deal. There are many, many students that don't feel worth, they don't have value. I want you to hear me. Everybody in these bleachers, you were created with worth and value. And you're looking at a dude that slept in bars, cars, streets, and alleys. I know what it is to live the wrong way. If you're listening, say yes. So religion says a lot of things that seems right. Now, I want you to listen to this, and I'm not taking long. It's John chapter 14. John 14, I want to read about 4 or 5 verses, and then I'm going to ask the question. In fact, here's the question. Don't answer it out loud. If I were to ask this question in some churches in this town, listen to me close, they would ask me to leave the pulpit. This is the question Obama, the Pope, Billy Graham, Ken Freeman, and you and I have to answer. Are you ready? Is Jesus Christ the only way to heaven? Don't answer out loud. Because see, I could stand up in some churches, and you got tons of churches. And I could stand up and say, Jesus Christ is the only way to heaven. And I promise you, there are some churches that would ask me to leave. See, I want you to understand that it's not the Baptist way, it's not the Methodist way, it's not the Church of Christ way, it's not the Pentecostal way. I want you to hear me. According to Jesus' own words, he said there's two ways to live. I want you to hear me close. Look at what he said. Right here in John chapter 14, listen close. He says it in verse 1. If you had a Bible, red letter, this is Jesus' word. He says, don't let your hearts be troubled. Trust in God, also trust in me. There's more than enough room in my Father's home. By the way, when my grandson passed away, my son who preached his funeral, for the next 3 months, he's a pastor at a church in Oklahoma City. For 3 months, he preached on nothing but heaven. I want you to hear me. If we're all going to die, we're all going to be judged, and we all have a destiny. It's either heaven or hell. It's turn or burn. It's get saved or microwave. It's fly or you can fry. Look at me close. Whether you believe that or not, it's not going to change the fact. We're all going to die. We're all going to be judged. We all have a destiny, and listen to this. This is the fact. When you die, you're going to spend eternity somewhere. He says, don't be afraid, don't be bothered. There's a lot of room in my Father's house. Listen to this. If this were not so, I would have told you that I'm going to prepare a place for you. When everything is ready, I will come to get you, so that you will always be where I am. And listen to this. And you know where I'm going. You know the way to where I'm going. But listen to what Thomas said. Lord, no, we don't. In fact, we have no idea where you're going. If you have a Bible, Thomas said, we have no idea. Are you ready? Watch. We have no idea where you're going. So how can we know the? How can we know the? Please listen close. You need to make sure before you walk out of this gymnasium. I hate it when people leave early. But I want you to hear me. Tonight, if your heart were to stop, if you were to die, are you confident that Jesus Christ is your life, your Lord, and your Savior? Keep reading. Now, by the way, the question is Jesus Christ the only way to heaven? Oprah Winfrey, I need to tell you this, is not a believer. If you go to Oprah's website, she's got a deal called the New Earth. She's New Age. I'm not saying she's a bad woman, but here's what I want to tell you. Oprah believes there's a lot of ways to get to heaven. That's not what Jesus said. Can I go ahead and tell you? There's only, according to Jesus, there's not a lot of ways. And Oprah, I want you to hear me. She says a lot of things that seems right. That sounds, but its end is death and destruction. Look at what the scripture says. Jesus said in verse 6. Now this verse makes sense. I am the, not a different way. Please listen. I'm not long. He's not a different way, a better way, not even a new way. He's the only. God, I wish I could have shared today in this school. Keep reading. He said, I'm not only the only way, but I'm the only truth. He's not a new truth. Please listen. He's not a better truth. I hope you're listening. He's not even a new truth. In fact, he said, I'm the only way, I'm the only truth, and listen, and I'm the only. Now this messes with people. He's not a new life. He's not a better life. He's not a different life. See, Oprah believes there's a lot of ways to get to God. But he said, Jesus said, I'm the only way, the only truth, and the only life. But look at the next line. No one can get to the Father except through me. You've got cults, you've got religion, you've got Christianity. Here's what a cult is. A cult is when people follow somebody else other than Jesus Christ. Here's what a cult is. When you believe your church is the only church, you're in a cult. Here's what religion is. Religion says if you just do good, if you work harder, that might get you to heaven. But here's what Christianity says. It's about Jesus, number one, and number two, are you ready? It's not about what you do, it's about what he did. He said there are two ways to live. You see, there's the right way and the wrong way. In fact, let me close with this. Turn, if you would, to Matthew chapter 7. Listen to this close, and I'm done. You do not want to miss my message tomorrow night on the heart. I would get as many people here that don't know Jesus, get them here. I promise you, you'll enjoy it. Look at Matthew 7, and look at the two ways, verse 13. Jesus said you can enter God's kingdom only through the narrow gate. I love this. The highway to hell is broad. You guys aren't much better than Texas. They're always working on the highway. You ever been driving on the highway, speed limit 70, you're going 35? And then you look over on the side where people just zipping around. I want you to listen to me. In San Antonio, they're always working on our highways. I don't think it's ever going to get done. But I love this illustration. He said the highway to hell is broad. And notice what he says, and many will enter it. That word many means majority. Do you know it's easy to get on highways? It's a bummer trying to get off. But notice what he said that the second way is like. He said the second way is this. But the gateway to life is very narrow. The road is difficult. And listen to what he says. And only a few, not will enter it, but only a few will find it. And look at me close. My mom told me all my life that I'd be like my loser dad. You know, one of my favorite songs is Good, Good Father. Psalms 27:10, listen to this verse. It says, though your mom and dad forsake you, Jesus said, I'll be your daddy. If you read Psalms, are you ready? Psalm 68:5 says, he'll be the father to the fatherless. 38 million kids in America have no idea where their real dad is. 19 million kids in America have never seen their real father. I want you to hear me. You see, here's the question you've got to answer tonight. If your heart were to stop, if you were to die, if someone were to walk in and start shooting, and it could happen, this is the question. Is Jesus Christ your way, your truth, and your life? I want you to bow your heads, every head bowed. I made it a commitment tonight not to go long. Tomorrow night, I will, with every head bowed. I don't want you looking at anybody. I want you to be as still as you can be with every head bowed. If you listen to me tonight, if you really listen, would you raise your hand? Put them down. If you learned something tonight, say yes. Yes. I want you to hear me. There's not a bad or a stupid person in this room. But we make bad and stupid choices. Listen close. You need to make sure before you walk out of these doors that Jesus Christ is your way, your truth, and your life.